So, students, today we'll discuss the foreign trade in chapter 1. This would be the part 4. Already we have discussed about agriculture, about industries on the eve of independence, and today we'll discuss the third head, foreign trade. What was the condition of the foreign trade at the time of British or during the colonial government? And we'll see how did they ruin our economy even under this head. So, first of all, to to discuss the foreign trade during the British rule, we'll divide the topic into the three parts. Number one, first of all, we'll discuss the state of the foreign trade during the British rule. Number one, first of all, exporter of primary products, exporter of primary products. We have already discussed it again and again under the head of industry. Primary products, or we could say raw material, exporter of raw material, better I should write raw material, and importer of finished products. Finished products. We discussed it again and again. And again, we would like to brief it. India became an exporter of the primary products such as raw silk, raw cotton, wool, sugar, indigo, jute, etc. And an importer of finished consumer goods like cotton, silk, and woolen clothes, and capital goods like light machinery, which were produced in the British industries. And we had to purchase all of them at the higher rates. Second head we'll discuss. This is the monopoly control of the British rule. How did the British establish the monopoly control of British rule? What arrangements they made basically for this purpose to create a monopoly control over the market of India? British rule. We'll see the policies in this. Number one, point A. First of all, we would like to know some facts. Number one, more than half of India's foreign trade was restricted to Britain only, while the rest was allowed with few other countries only, like China, Sri Lanka, and Iran. Very few countries were allowed to have the trade relations with that of India, because British restricted India's trade relations. Okay, they restricted India to have the trade relations with that of the Britain only, not with the other countries in the world. And if they allowed to India, they allowed very few other countries. Some of them were China, Sri Lanka, and Iran. So we could say restricted trade relations of India. We can write down the point, with other countries. With other country, just to maintain their monopoly over the market of India. Point B, we can write here, just to just to have a monopoly control over the market of India. They opened the Suez Canal in 1869, so that it it could serve as a direct route for the ships operating between India and Britain. Just to develop a direct route between India and Britain, they opened the Suez Canal. So I'll just write it here: opening of Suez Canal. Suez Canal in the year 1869. They constructed this in 1869. By the opening of the Suez Canal, we can write the points here. all these points are specific to the opening of Suez Canal only. Okay. Please. Number one, direct route. It became now direct route between India and Britain. India and Britain. Secondly, what was the effect of this then? Secondly, this direct route reduced the cost of transportation and made access to the Indian market easier. Okay. By opening of Suez Canal, the British could reduce transportation costs between these two countries, and and the Britain could access easily to the market of India. Third, you can write easy access to Indian market. Is to market of India. Okay. Next, this canal provided a direct trade route for ships operating between Britain and India. We have already discussed, and it avoided the need to sail around Africa. Next point we can write here. What was the advantage of opening Suez Canal? It avoided the need to sail around Africa. And most important, if we speak in terms of strategies and diplomacy, strategically and diplomatically, economically even, it is one of the most important waterways in the world regarding connectivity. Most important, in short, I'm writing this IMP, most important waterways in the world. We could say most important waterways in the world. Got the point? So they adopted these policies. Number one, they restricted the trade relations of India with that of the other countries. If any other countries any other country wanted to develop the trade relations with that of India, they imposed the heavy duties on those countries. So they withdrew, obviously. And secondly, they opened the Suez Canal, so that it became the direct route between these two countries. It reduced the transportation cost, easy access to market of India. It avoided the need to sail around Africa, and it was one of the most important waterways in the world. Third point, in the foreign trade, we'll discuss the conditions on the eve of independence or during the British rule. Third condition, we could say, the drain of Indian wealth. Drain of Indian wealth. How did the British make the drain of Indian wealth? We have discussed many times, again and again, we are repeating that India became an exporter of the raw material and an importer of the finished goods. There was huge export surplus due to excess export. And this export surplus was used I would like to clear all this so that I could write it here. So next, third point, I'll write drain of India. Come back again. Drain of Indian wealth. Drain of Indian wealth. What were the policies? We have already seen that India had been the exporter of the raw material and importer of the finished products. So what happened? India India became the huge exporter to Britain. So it created the conditions of the export to surplus due to the excess exports. And and the British used this export surplus. Number one, first of all, we'll see excess of export, excess of export from India, and due to this point B, we could say export surplus was created. Export surplus was created. Point C. And this export surplus was used mainly export surplus. I'll write here only, which was used number one, will continue from here only. Number one, to make payments. To make payments to expenses of to expenses from offices established by British. They used this export surplus for this very purpose. Point D, to meet expenses on war fought by the British government. To meet expenses of war. They used this export surplus expenses arisen out of war. Arisen out of war, in which British were indulged. And next, to import the invisible items. To import invisible items from Britain. Got it? So like all these, the British spoiled our foreign trade also. They spoiled the trade of India, especially they spoiled agriculture, they spoiled our industries, and they spoiled now foreign trade also. And all these were the conditions during the British rule. All these were the conditions on the eve of independence. I hope the things are clear. Now next we'll discuss demographic conditions at the time of British on the eve of independence. Third, we have discussed agriculture, we have discussed industry, we have discussed foreign trade. Now we'll discuss the demographic conditions. Demographic condition. In this, Demographic conditions during the British rule exhibited all features of a stagnant and backward Indian economy. So first of all, we'll see, just to find out the demographic conditions, the first official census took place. First official census took place in 1881 during the tenure of Lord Ripon, if I'm not wrong. Okay. At that time, first official census took place in 1881, and it showed unevenness in India's population growth. When the first official census took place, it showed the unevenness in India's population growth. But later on, from 1881 onwards, census operations were carried out after every 10 years. Gradually, the census began to take place. Gradually, it began to take place after every 10 years. Even today, it takes place after every 10 years. It began to take place after every 10 years. Please keep remember. Got the point? When we started the census after every 10 years, then we came to know of year of great divide. It was known as 1921, was known as the year of great divide. Now question arises, why this year 1921 is known as the year of great divide? Before 1921, India was in the first stage of demographic transition. Second stage of transition began after 1921. So this is the year 1921. It is described as the year of great divide. We'll see. The year 1921 is a year of the great divide in the demographic history of India, when mortality started to decline, leading to acceleration in the rate of population growth. It is came to be known as the second stage. During the next 3 decades, the rate of population growth continued at a level of over 1% per annum. Before this, we would like to discuss the first stage, first of all. Okay. So here we would mention, see, why the year of 1921 is called the year of great divide. So keep remember, this was the stage of demographic transition. Demographic transition happened 2 times, before 1921 and after 1921. So before 1921, we call this the first stage, and after 1921, we call this the second stage. Okay. And then we'll discuss the third stage also. But first of all, we come on the first stage. Here, keep remember, why do we call it? Now whatsoever the points we'll mention here, all these are specific to this only, to the transition period. This is 1921. So we could say demographic transition was there. Demographic transition. Demographic transition took place during the year 1921, and this demographic transition we could divide into the mainly 2 stages. Number 1, first stage. First of all, we'll see the first stage. First stage, this is before 1921. This was the first stage. What happened in the first stage of 1921? This stage was characterized by primitive and primarily agrarian economy. With widespread illiteracy, poor sanitation had been there, healthcare conditions were not good, negligible knowledge of the family planning and large family sizes, which contributed to factors such as high fertility rate and high death rate even. This stage is termed as the stage of low population growth. So understand this first. All of us know that Indian economy had been the agrarian economy, okay, and it was clubbed with that of the widespread illiteracy, poor sanitation, and poor health care conditions. Moreover, negligible knowledge of family planning and large family sizes had been there at that time in India. And all these contributed to the factors like high fertility rate and high death rate. This was the characteristic of the first stage. Here in short, I'm writing specific to high fertility rate, high fertility rate, but it was clubbed with high death rate. Plus, I'll write here, plus high death rate. I hope all of you will be getting the point. Specific to high fertility rate and plus high death rate. So what were the reasons for this? What were the reasons behind this? The reasons behind this were widespread illiteracy, we'll write here, due to illiteracy, poor sanitation had been there, poor sanitation during the British rule, poor sanitation and poor healthcare conditions, poor sanitation, and I'll mention it here only, and poor healthcare conditions had been there, poor healthcare facilities, we could say, poor healthcare facilities at this time, and moreover, negligible knowledge of family planning and large family sizes. All these were the reasons for high fertility rate and clubbed with that of the high death rate. So, this stage was termed as the stage of low population growth. It's, here I'll write etc. And so, this stage is known as stage of low population growth. Low population growth. And this was the first stage. I hope all of you have get the point. We are talking of the first stage before 1921, and this was specific to the high fertility rate clubbed with that of the high death rate. The reasons were behind due to illiteracy, poor sanitation, poor healthcare facilities, negligible knowledge of family planning, and large family sizes, which contributed to all these factors. And so this stage is termed as the stage of low population growth. Now we'll discuss the second stage. Now we'll see after 1921. This is the second stage. This is after 1921. During this stage, after 1921, we could see rise in the income levels, which contributed to the improvement in healthcare, education, disease control, and which in turn contributed to reduce the death rates even. So all 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 these factors accelerated the population growth. So it resulted high rate of birth and low rate of deaths. This stage is termed as the stage of high population growth. After 1921, we could see this is specific to second stage was specific to high birth rate, high birth rate, and it was clubbed with low death rate. You could see before 1921, we could see high fertility rate had been there, but high death rate had also been there. So it resulted in the low population growth. But in the second stage, it was specific to the high birth rate and low death rates. Low death rate. So it accelerated the population growth because at this time the income level of the people had been increased, which contributed in the improvement of healthcare, education, disease control, etc. So consequently, it reduced the death rate. So we'll write down the reasons also due to increase in income level. Increase in income level resulted in better better healthcare facilities, education, and disease control. And disease disease control. Got it? So this stage was termed as this stage is termed as the stage of high population growth. Stage of high population growth. So that's why the year of 1921, because we could see the drastic change before and after. Okay, so this is known as the year of Great Divide. Third stage is also there. Due to the modernization, industrialization, it changed the living pattern. The rural population shifted to cities and family sizes reduced to become nuclear families now. Okay, the standard of living increased, which further brought down mortality rates and the birth rates. As a result, the growth of population declined again. So we can conclude India's population grew slowly till the 1920s, which is known as the first stage. The year 1921 is a year of great divide in the demographic history of India, when mortality started to decline, leading to acceleration in the rate of population growth. This is known as the second stage. And during the next 3 decades, 1921 to 1951, the rate of population growth continued at a level of over 1% per annum. The slight dip in the growth rate in 1941 to 51 partly reflects the Bengal famine of 1942 to 43 and dislocation and due to the partition of India in 1947. After independence, the rate of population growth accelerated considerably because of the extension of public health care services, and it is growing increasingly since then. Okay. So all of these were for your reference only. Specifically, we have only the year 1921, and we have to go through the first stage and the second stage both. So kindly go through all these things. Now we come on the various demographic conditions. So to find out the demographic conditions during the British rule, we'll discuss all these under the various heads. Number one, high birth rate and death rate. Number one, we'll discuss high birth rate and death rate. High birth rate and the death rate. Birth rate refers to the number of children born per thousand in a year. Death rate refers to the number of people dying per thousand persons in a year. Both birth rate and death rate were very high at nearly 48 and 40 per thousand respectively on the eve of independence. So, first of all, what is the birth rate? We would like to hear. In short, I am writing this BR. Please keep remember. Birth rate, this is the number of children. Number of children born per thousand. Born per thousand in a year. In a year. In the same way, death rate, in short, I'm writing this GR, death rate, number of people dying per thousand in a year. Got it? On the eve of independence, both were very high. Birth rate was approx 48 per thousand and death rate was 40 per thousand. So I will just write it here only. I'll after oblique. On the eve of independence, this was 48, and this was 40 during the British rule. So you could see high birth rate and death rate. It means within a year, if 1,000 children had taken birth, out of those 1,000, 48 children had died due to the poor sanitation, poor healthcare facilities, and all these. In the same way, out of 1,000 within a year, number of people dying, it was approx 40. So high birth rate and high death rate had been there. Next, we'll see second. Second, we'll discuss low literacy rate. Low literacy rate. The overall literacy level was less than 16%. all over India. And out of this, the female literacy level was at a very negligible low rate. It was approx 7% only. Overall, in this we could see, overall it was only 16%. Only 16%. And female literacy was only 7%. Female literacy rate only 7% it was. So you could see the data on the eve of independence, so that you could see the demographic conditions of the country on the eve of independence. Or we could say, if we speak in terms of mass illiteracy, it means, listen, if here we are talking overall only 16%, so we could say only 16% were literate. Sorry, I missed it here. These were only literate, only, and female literacy rate was only 7%. Overall 16% were literate. So you could find out an idea what would be the illiteracy rate. So it means illiteracy rate, mass illiteracy had been there. It was approx 83% approx. 83 or 84% we could say. Approx 83%. Or we can write it here, 84% भी हम इसको बोल सकते हैं, 84%. 84%. Because 16% were literate. And out of this literacy, female literacy was only 7%. Okay. 93% female were illiterate. So females ka illiteracy rate, you could see, it was very high, approx 93%. Illiteracy. Illiterate. Females. It was approx 93%. You could see. This was the literacy rate on the eve of independence. Got it? Next we come poor health facilities. Due to poor health facilities, in fact, public health facilities were either unavailable to large mass of population, or if they were available, these were highly inadequate. Consequently, water and airborne diseases were widespread and took a huge toll on life. So third we'll see under the demographic conditions, poor health facilities. Poor health facilities. Got it? Poor health facilities. If the public health facilities had been available, it was not into the easy access of the people. And if these were available, these were highly inadequate. This was the condition of the poor health facilities. Consequently, water and airborne diseases were widespread and it took a huge toll on life. Next we come on high infant mortality rate. Number 4. Fourth we'll see high infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate refers to number of infants dying before reaching 1 year of age per thousand live births in a year. It is known as the it's known as the infant mortality rate. And the infant mortality rate was quite alarming, about 218 per thousand, in contrast to the infant mortality rate of 44 per thousand in 2011. In 2011, through the census, we came to know that this is now 44 per thousand, which was 218 per thousand on the eve of independence. So what do we mean by infant mortality rate? In short, I'm writing this IMR. Infant mortality rate refers to number of infants dying before they attain the age of 1 year. Age of 1 year per 1,000 births in a year. It is known as the infant mortality rate. Here I'll write per also, please. Per thousand. Per thousand in a year. Per thousand births in a year. So it refers to the infant mortality rate. And it was quite alarming. You see the condition. On the eve of independence, it was 218 during the British rule. 218 during British rule. And today, here in oblique I'll write, and today it is 44 as per the census to 2011. 44 at present. You could see the pathetic situations on the eve of independence. Next we come number 5, low life expectancy. Here the data I've given you, 44 at present. It's as per census. As per census 2011. Now the census will take place after 10 years. So, but at present, the data as per the data, if we speak without census, approx we have rough idea. At present today, it's approx 18 per thousand only. This is as per the census of 2011. It is 44 at present as per the census. But if we go through the data today, so we will come to know it has become approx 18 per thousand now. Okay, but you will please mention as per your data if you have this as per the census only. It's just for your knowledge only. We have shared. Now we come on the next number 5, low life expectancy. Next, demographic conditions we'll discuss in the low life expectancy. This is the fifth point. Point 5, low life expectancy. Low life expectancy refers to the average number of years for which people are expected to live. What's the meaning of low life expectancy? This is the average number of years for which people are expected to live. Okay. So we'll see life expectancy rate was also very low on the eve of independence. It was approx 44 years in contrast to the present 68 years. Okay. So you could see it was approx 44 years only. 44 years during British rule, during British, and today it is approx 68 years at present. At present. Got it? Next we come, and if we see this is 44 years, okay, and sixth we'll see. Sixth point is widespread poverty, or we could say low standard of living. We could say low standard of living because poverty had been there. Low standard of living. People used to spend 80% to 90% of their income just to fulfill their basic needs only. Because no doubt that extensive poverty prevailed in India during the colonial period. The overall standard of living of common people in India was very low, and there was widespread poverty in the country. So we can conclude that the British rule was the main reason to worsen the profile of India's population. If we have a glance on the demographic conditions on the eve of independence. So students, next we'll discuss the occupational structure and the infrastructure. I hope that things are clear to you all. We'll share the PDF also. Please prepare notes and submit the work on time whenever it is demanded from you. Okay, see you. Bye.